Alright, welcome back. This is episode 2 of my Let's Learn series. I'm DFuxa. This is Max. This is Gork. So at this point I made it through level 1 of the dungeon. Fairly easy enough. And I basically have, some industry, some science, and some food to make use of here. I'll note that I really want to get Max up to level 4 as fast as possible. We're just going to level him up once here. When he basically gets to level 4, he'll gain this passive ability, as you can see right down here, a little, basically a little question mark there. He gets this a very special skill when he gets to level 4, so we want to aim to do that right away. But for now, let's just get, these doors open for now, so we get some resources to get him up to level 4. Alright, so power that up with a middle click of the mouse button. So, note that, basically, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about their modules and such at this point. You basically have two types of modules. You have major modules, and you have minor modules. These are basically slots that basically pertain to the type of modules you can build. So, I recommend at this point, build a science creator if you haven't already. If you built a food or an industry, that's fine too. But basically, you want to put down a module. When you put down these major modules, you'll basically get more resources. So in this case, I put down a science module and I'll get more science. And this is going to be used to do more research. If I put down a food module, I could use it to basically gain more food to level up my heroes, or to gain the ability to heal them if I need to. More often. Industry would let me build more modules, which is also important. But I have a little bit of industry built up at this point through the first level, so we'll hold off on getting any worry about the industry for now. We're going to move Gork over here. Alright, so I built the science modules here. At the start of a game, you don't really have a whole lot of minor modules you can build, but the one you can build is the prisoner prod here. And this is where the tower defense aspect of this game comes into play. Hold down shift, by the way, and just click on all the minor module slots, by the way. So just click this, hold shift, and just click on all of these. So I just built 4 prisoner prods into this space here. These are essentially defensive items that will let you basically defend yourself a little bit better. Now they cost a little bit of industry, much like all the other modules do. So you want to be very careful depending on how many you build, in case you're running low on industry. But for now we have a little bit of industry to make use of, so I'm able to use them a little bit. And what these do, they'll let me help me defend myself when I'm under attack. So let's go find some enemies. I'll actually let them spawn if they want to at this point. Okay, that's special, but we'll get to it later. Okay, no monsters spawned. Alright, so this is a dust factory. These are a very special type of item you can find scattered throughout your dungeon sometimes. When you open this up, it'll basically say covered in dust and dust. Activating it may bring wealth or death. What this means is you can spend 30 industry here to either get some dust or to get death. I recommend more or less most of the time, if you have the industry, to use these. And one of the two outcomes will happen when you use it. You'll either get more dust, which you can use to power up more rooms, or you'll blow up all the module slots in the room. Blowing up all the module slots is usually a bad thing, but it's something that can happen. In this case, we got some dust resource, so that's great. I can use it to power this room up over here. And we're going to place down an industry generator here, so I can get a little bit more industry going. Now, a big part of this game is sort of planning what doors to open and when. I'll note that right now, I basically have some defenses over here, and I have this strand out here. This is not really a good place for this industry generator, because if there's any enemy that will attack the module slot here, they'll basically attack it before going on to these guys over here. So what I want to do here, I'm actually going to open these doors here, which are next to Gork and Max and all the defenses. So if there's anything in these rooms, they'll basically go after me here. There's a research artifact. I can use this to do a little research, and I'll use it for the industry generator. So I'll note that this research basically is the same as what you saw at the last level. the industry won't like change per level. So basically, if you this is what you left it at level 1, you'll come back to what you can research like this at level 2. And I'm gonna basically go after the industry generator so I can build more industry. I'm gonna power this room up. Now, I'll also note, by the way, that this is also attackable by certain monsters. Though early on, this is probably not a big concern, so don't worry about it too much. We found an item, that's nice. Sometimes as you go through a dungeon, you'll find items that you can use on your heroes. In this case, we found a Cruxy, which is basically a spear weapon type of item. None of my heroes use spears per se, but it might be useful if I find a hero that uses spears later on. And I'll note, by the way, that you can tell what equipment these guys use by going to into their inventories here. And you can actually look down at equipment to see what equipment they actually use. So as you can see with Max here, he uses pistols, armor, and item slots over here. If I click on Gork, he uses machine guns, armor, and items. So that's basically the items that these guys can use. And since I have the extra dust, I'm going to basically power up this room up here. And we're going to use this to build another industry generator. I'll note that industry is very important, so I like to, you know, basically focus a lot on industry just to make sure I can always build modules when I need to. Or, you know, this basically get into the next level, which is like more industry to build up stuff on the next level. Alright. Sometimes you'll find random resources in a dungeon, which is nice. They can help you build up more stuff as you move along. And down here, we're going to build our last module for this level. We'll build a science creator again. Now, I'll note that at this point, I have enough food to level up Max to level 4. When he gets to level 4, he gets a special skill called Operate. And how this works is, when you basically have a hero with Operate next to a module, a major module, you can basically operate on that module, which will basically increase your resources for it. So, as you can basically see right here, Max has this sort of like, you know, gear symbol on top of his head and a little bit of, you know, ... going on. This means that he's attempting to operate on a module, and the next turn that basically comes into play, he'll actually start generating for me more science from this module, because it's a science module. And I'll note that if I put him over here on this module over here, he'll instead generate more industry for me on this module. Now, considering like how this is basically laid out my defenses, it actually makes more sense for me to move up here and build a few more defenses. So we're going to build some more prison prods here. And again, hold shift if you want to do it all at once. Basically, if you don't hold shift, you'll basically build them one at a time. If you hold shift, you can basically build them all at once. So that's why I do that. Alright, since Max is going to operate on this module, I'm going to use Gork to move around a little bit. Gork isn't the greatest for opening doors with, but he can be useful, so let's just get him going, I guess. Alright, these enemies are pretty dangerous right here, this guy right here. And there's my minor module slots working there. So as you see from these defenses, these little defenses, they basically fire upon enemies that basically enter the room with them. So that's how these like work. Now, that bug enemy that basically appeared right there, that's a really dangerous enemy early on. You basically want a lot of firepower to bring them down, because if you don't, they'll basically walk all the way over to wherever your crystal is and start attacking it. Basically, when enemies attack your crystal, you'll start losing like dust. And if you run out of dust and you hit 0 with it, you lose the game. So you want to basically avoid having your crystal get hit and like, you know, losing dust. Also, if you lose dust, you can't power rooms, which is also bad too, so generally keep enemies away from the crystal. Speaking of dust, I actually have enough if I want to basically go to other doors, and there's actually doors to the right of my crystal over here. Because I have, like, you know, enough defenses over here to basically handle stuff, both here and here, I basically want to start opening this direction with the spare dust, because I won't have any heroes over in this direction, so let's go this way. There's a self-powered room. Now, I'll note, by the way, that if you want to, you can actually build another, like, you know, module slot. At this point, I built 4 modules. Basically, a science module right here and here, an industry right here and here. at some point, when you're basically building these modules, you get to the point where your investment in building them is not worth it. Essentially, if you look down here, you'll see that it cost me a certain amount of industry to build each of these modules. So if I was to build like a science career right now, it would cost me 40 industry. Essentially, each industry only generates so much resources per door opened, and there's only so many doors per level. So let's say I like place this right down right now. This will basically cost me 40 industry, and I'll have to open 10 doors to basically earn that industry back. Unless I basically research a better module, which I could do. And I probably should check my research at this point. And yes, Gork is very, very slow compared to Max. All the heroes have different traits, and one of the traits for Gork is that he's a good killer, but he's not very fast. Alright, at this point, I don't really have like any modules like these. This is a major module, but it's more important later on. So I'm going to look at the minor modules at this point, and we've got the biomass cannery, the Tesla module, and a tear gas. I'll note that of these modules, you can basically see what types they are by looking at the little things up here. So basically, these like heart ones being support minor modules, the weapon ones, the sword icon ones being offensive, and the shield ones being hindering minor modules. Early on, I recommend that if you don't have a good, major module to basically research, in this case we've got the tactical HUD, which is not very good early on, move over to the offensive modules and buy one of those instead. Depending on what you want, what's here though, it may be a good idea to basically avoid it if it's like a really crappy one. And the names of some crappy modules are like the SE Blaster, the Claymore, and well, those two are really only crappy ones early on. They get stronger later on in the dungeon, but early on they're not very good investments. But the Tesla module is a good one if you see it, so start analyzing that. And essentially, when you get the Tesla module, it'll basically replace your prisoner prod as an offensive weapon for you. But anyhow, at this point, I got a whole lot of dust, and I'm not going to be building modules. We're basically going to open doors for resources at this point. So if I zoom out here and note that basically I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 9 rooms open right now, and I've got like basically 4 doors I can open. I'm not sure how many doors are per level, but I can tell you that if you have like 10 doors open on a second level, there's not going to be 10 doors left to open. So it's usually not a good idea to open more doors once you open 10 rooms on a second level. But for like building like modules basically. Don't build more modules if you have 10 rooms open on a second level. That's like my go-to information for you there. Alright, let's just open the rest of these doors with Gork over here. Oh, so this guy, he's going to try and go for my crystal. And if he does so, he's going to start attacking it. So here's what happens when he does it. You'll basically start losing dust whenever you get your crystal goes attack like this. And this is one of the worst monsters to attack your crystal with. Or one of the worst monsters to attack your crystal. Those little blue ones don't hurt as much as that guy, but it's very bad to have it happen when that happens. Now, to prevent that from happening again, I'm actually going to build a few defenses just to sort of hinder him a little bit and possibly kill them. Because if they get down to my crystal, I'm going to, basically as you saw, lose dust every time they hit it. So I want to avoid that a little bit. Oh, we got the leaper. Now, I'm going to press the spacebar. If you hit the spacebar at any given time, you'll basically pause the game. And this is going to be important if you're having trouble, basically for any reason at all. I recommend pressing the spacebar intermittently every so often if you think there's going to be problems. In this case, some monsters have spawned over here, so I want to see what's going on. And it looks like Max is doing okay for now. But I want to keep an eye on Max just to make sure he doesn't get overwhelmed, while at the same time watching Gork. So pressing spacebar to, intermittently look at see what's going on is sometimes important. So do that. If you hit spacebar again, you'll basically unpause the game. So there we go. We're basically clear. I'm going to power up this room over here, and then we'll move down to this door over here. Note that there can sometimes be multiple research modules on the floor, so we found another one over here. And I'll note that if there's multiple modules on the floor like this, you can actually do research on 2 different things at once if you want to. Now, I'll note by the way that there's a shop over here. The shop isn't too bad to pick up, but early on, you don't really need it. So, again, I recommend going after the, you know, defensive stuff. In this case, I got the Prisoner Prod 2, which is not a bad thing to get. And you can actually pass this up if you want to, but I'm going to buy it just because it's, you know, it's very cheap to buy. And it'll upgrade my my Prisoner Prods to be a little bit stronger. Essentially, right now, the Prisoner Prods will basically do 9 attack power, and they'll fire basically twice every second. By the way, if you zoom out and click on a room, you basically zoom to it. And if you right-click on a module of your hero, you'll basically see what's researching for you. So in this case, we're researching the Prisoner Prod. Hovering over this, you can see that my Prisoner Prod 2 will be upgraded to basically do 10 attack power for every second. It'll still attack twice per second, but it'll basically do so with 10 attack power. Very minor increase, but it'll basically help a little bit early on. So basically, it's worth getting. Now, if I want to, I could open this door over here, but I don't have any extra dust to power rooms over here, so at this point, we're going to move Gork all the way back over to where Max is. As you can see, I zoomed out, so I can basically click over here. Wherever you right-click on the minimap, that's where like your heroes will move. So if I right-click up here, Gork will start moving up there. If I right-click down here, he'll start moving back over here again. And if I left-click over here, I'll go zoom to this place right here. Okay, let's make Gork move down here. And I'll note, by the way, you want to be very careful with opening doors. Essentially, where possible, you want to open in a single line. So if you have like a door open down here and you haven't opened these doors yet, keep moving south to basically keep opening doors. This will basically cause the enemies to have to funnel down from this direction first, which will help out a lot in the long run. Alright, so here's Joleri. She's a hero you can recruit. Generally, if this is your first time playing, I recommend recruiting any hero you find. But Joleri is a very, very, very questionable recruitment choice. I'll mention this basically right now. There's certain heroes that are really good early on, and there's certain heroes that are sort of terrible early on. Joleri sort of falls in the category of terrible all the time. And basically, the reason she's terrible all the time is that she reduces your amount of dust resources that you collect. But since it's like, you know, probably this is your first time, I recommend just, you know, hiring the first hero you come across. In this case, it's Joleri. So you'll spend some food to basically recruit them, and they'll join your party. So note by the way that she uses spears, so that crux that I found early on, she can equip it. But basically, the reason Joleri is sort of like a questionable pick to pick up is because she's got this skill called Dust First. And what it does is, it'll basically lower the amount of dust you basically get from monsters that you kill, which basically you could have used to basically power up rooms. Anyhow, since I got Joleri in my party, I'm going to start using her to open doors because she's a little bit faster than Gork. She is my favorite hero, by the way, Joleri, but she's also a hero that you really, really have to watch out for, because she is, like, you know, got that very, you know, big malice to her when using her. As you can see, she's much, much faster than Gork. In part because this arm also gives her a speed increase, but also because she is faster than Gork. Alright, let's open this door over here. I've got the extra dust to basically power the room on the other side, so let's do that. Move all the way up here, and as you can see, she can actually outrun these guys, so that's a good thing about her. You're not getting to my crystal this time. And there we go. We basically just defeated all those guys. I can power up this room, and I actually got enough dust from killing them that I can move on to the room over here as well, so let's do that. And here's our exit. So, when I'm ready to leave the dungeon, here's the way out. And I just did some more research, so let's do a little bit more research after that. And there's my food replicator, so we're going to get this. But before I click on this, note that when I basically said the SC Blaster is something you shouldn't take early on, here's the SC Blaster. Essentially, it'll take you 35 research to basically get it, and it's a very weak weapon early on in the game. This is something you should avoid. And I recommend, if you don't have a good, like, you know, food replicator or industry or science up here to research, and you have, like, say, an SE blaster over here, I actually recommend you hit the reset researches, which will basically cost you early on a little bit, you know, a lot less research than basically paying 35 upright to basically get this, in order to get something, like, some better choices, basically. But since we have this, we'll basically click this right now. I'll move Joleri over here to see what else I can research, because I have 2 research modules, and I have the research to basically possibly do more research. Note, by the way, that I don't actually have the research for this, but I'll wait a turn and I can do some research for the science carrier next. And we'll move down here with Joleri. Alright, so here's Dude. This is the Death Dealer. And if you've played games like, say, Diablo, which basically have gamblers in them, this is what this guy's all about. He's a gambler. And you can basically spend on him resources, your resources at random to basically get random stuff from him. So you can basically see from his slots he's offering me a spear type weapon or item slots. Now, I'll note by the way that I don't recommend using a Death Dealer, but because none of these guys have any equipment, and because I have ample amount of industry to spend, I actually recommend doing it in this situation. So we're gonna basically buy all 3 of these items from him. And the items we got from him were the Cruxy, the Battlefield Injector, and the Photon Decelerator. We're gonna put our Cruxy back on. Alright, so of these items, I want you to basically pay attention to something here. You note that with this item here, the Photon Decelerator, it's actually got something called Scamper on it. And you can actually see, here I'll actually do a Gork here. If you put this item on someone who doesn't have Scamper, you'll basically give them that ability. And the abilities that these items might have will vary, but in some situations they might be very beneficial to basically have the abilities on these items. And in some cases they won't really help out that much. If I was to give this to Joleri, for example, it won't really help her out that much because she already has Scamper, and thus it's basically not going to, you know, make her have Scamper 2 or anything like that. But I'll note by that this does increase her speed a little bit more, and because I am moving around, this is going to be sort of beneficial for her to use, so I'll leave it on her for that reason. And we're actually going to give you the Battlefield Injector. Note that this will basically increase your wit for your hero that you put it on, as well as their speed. And if I do this to max, basically the different stats will have different impacts on, like, you know, what you're doing with these characters. Speed will basically increase the movement speed for how fast your character moves. Attack power will increase how much damage they do when they basically hit stuff. Attack cooldown will basically govern how fast they attack per turn. So basically, he attacks it once per second. Joleri does. If I click on max, he attacks basically at 0.9. Every 0.9 seconds he attacks. And if I click on Gork here, he attacks at 1 second. The attack speed that people hit, your heroes that will hit at, and how much they will damage per turn varies considerably between hero to hero. And depending on, like, items you might have available, you might want to put, like, say, on, like, say, max here, something that lowers his attack cooldown a lot more, so basically it gets more DPS out of it. While, say, for something like Gork, you might want to put something that basically increases his attack power instead, which will basically boost up his attack more that way. Note, by the way, I also found a toothpick, which is another spear type of weapon. The Cruxy is a lot more stronger in it, and this is like where the Death Dealer can be bad because he can give you junk items like this. But whatever. In this case, this will be something I'll basically just keep to the next level and sell to a merchant when I find him. Now, I'll note, boy, that he's also offering another item called the Times of Sand. This is a very questionable item to buy because it basically locks you out of using your item slot for this item. What this item does is, it's actually a very good item in a sense because it basically prevents your heroes from dying. Whenever your heroes will die with this equipped on them, they won't die. Essentially, they'll be resuscitated to basically come back alive after they've run out of HP. But I don't recommend using this unless you're really scared of your hero dying. So I'm basically going to avoid buying it myself. basically, of these heroes that I have running around, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to keep them all alive if I'm careful enough. So I'm basically gonna avoid that item. But if you want to, you can basically put it on. It basically locks you out of using any items in this slot. Basically, once you buy this, you can't like replace it with something else. Is what I should really note. You can't replace this item with another item once you put it on a hero. Until that hero dies, that's with them for, you know, till that time that they die. So I'm basically avoiding that because I basically want to optimize your heroes, which basically means not using that item, using other items. Such as this item instead. Or items that will basically come later on. Alright, we're going to open up the rest of these doors. Found another item right here. And it looks like we've got some friends coming, so let's go move back in here with Joleri. And we'll kill these guys that pop up. Alright, so they're all dead. I found something called an HR manual here, which is actually a very good item to get. This item will basically unlock a very powerful skill called Team Spirit. And we're going to give it to Gork right now. Essentially, what this item will do, it'll basically give you, by itself, a little bit of defense per wearing it. When you're in, but it also gives you this skill called Team Spirit. And what this Team Spirit skill does, if your hero will be in a room with another hero, it'll basically give the hero equipping the Team Spirit item increased defense and attack power, as you see right there. So Gork's actually getting not just 6 defense, but he's actually getting 6 plus 15 for 21 defense, and he gets a little bit of attack power just for wearing this item. So very good item for Gork to wear right there. Alright, last door of this level. Oh, there's a leaper. This is a good time maybe to activate this ability. Alright, I'm just going to pause here so I can explain stuff. So, I'll note by the way that the good thing about Max's ability, Verbal Abuse, is that it affects all the heroes in the room with him. So basically all the heroes right now are getting increased defense and attack power. If I left Joleri up here to basically fight all the monsters alone, she wouldn't benefit from Max's power once like basically used it. So this is why I moved her down here. Also because all heroes are in the room here, they basically will divide the attention of monsters so they don't all get attacked at once. Alright, I'm just going to unpause. Now a couple of monsters got through, but I can easily move one of my heroes down to basically take care of them. Or let the defenses down here take care of them too. Alright, so that's basically it for this level. We're going to move all the heroes except one to basically get to the X over here. And I'll power up around room by raining dust. We're going to select Joleri here. And we're going to be done with level 2. Scroll in, scroll out. Scroll in, scroll out. Sometimes it can be important to scroll out. And I'll note by the way, if you scroll out, you can actually see little dots where the enemies are sometimes. Which is very helpful with this map mode. Anyhow, they're all in the room there, so let's just exit and be done with level 2. Alright, so there's another floor completed. I hope you possibly learned something again. And I'll see you when we get this floor free. For now, take care.